Welcome, friends. This is Janine Pettit, founder of Girl Camper and co-host of the Girl Camper podcast. My guest today is Tom Stoate from the Hitch House, a family-owned and operated motorhome dealership in Ontario, Canada, that has been serving customers faithfully for over 50 years. Tom is the president of this enterprise that specializes in motorhomes. And guess what? I'm going there October 25th and 26th because you know I love to talk girl campers into the right model for them. And motorhomes are a direction that I personally have been leaning toward. So we're going to be chatting today about why a motorhome might be just the right option for a solo woman traveler and what kind of questions you should be asking if you're at an RV show and you're out there looking. So stay tuned. We're coming back with Tom Stoate in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. I'm really thrilled today to talk to Tom. Tom and I became acquaintances and now colleagues through the RV industry in Elkhart, Indiana, through the RV Women's Association. And it always touches my heart when a dealership reaches out and says, you know, we really want women to come out and speak to other women. We're very interested in better serving this community. So when Tom reached out to me, I said, hey, I am your girl. I know what you're talking about here.
If your travel trailer is uninsured, you could run into issues down the road. Protect your RV with Progressive. Quote online in as little as 4 minutes.
Tom, thank you for reaching out to Girl Camper and inviting me to your RV show. I can't wait to be up there. And for taking this opportunity with us to talk about motorhomes specifically and why they might be a great choice, not just for solo women travelers, but for all people interested in this lifestyle. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate you having me here. And thank you being so receptive to my request.
Well, everybody thinks I'm just an RV show weirdo, but I love to go to RV shows. I love to talk to the people that are out there. I love to find out what they're looking for. I feel like a little matchmaker when I'm at an RV show. I love to talk to people and say, what kind of camper are you? What are you looking to do? And try to make that perfect match for them. So I'm thrilled to be going up there and I'm looking forward to it. And it's going to be at your dealership, which is a little different. So take a minute and tell us about Hitch House, because when I dove into your company, I just personally think that dealerships that are family owned and have their name on it and have reputation at stake, they have a little more skin in the game. So tell us about your family history with the Hitch House.
Well, the dealership was started by my father-in-law, Dave McKee, in 1969. He really enjoyed RVing. He was a captain in the Canadian military, and he was stationed out west in Canada. And he bought a trailer to take his wife and his 2 daughters around with. And he had it about a year or two, and he sold it and loved the whole process. And he was just an entrepreneurial type of guy. He had an opportunity to move to the next level, and he passed it up. He couldn't see himself going back to school to become a major. And he decided to venture out into the RV industry. So he came back to where his in-laws were living, and he rented a little gas station for $1 a month, as long as he pumped gas. And the gas station is still on the corner of our property. It's no longer a gas station, though. And he just kind of pulled it right up by its bootstraps. So, he was quite an interesting individual. And then in about 1994, he approached my wife. We had only been married about 6 months and wanted her to come back to the dealership. So we packed up our stuff from Toronto and moved to Barrie, Ontario. And she started working at the dealership. And around 2001, Dave was turning 60. And he said, he came to me and said, look, you're trying to get into a new business. and I want to continue to expand this business. So I'll make you and Heidi an opportunity here. You can buy in, and I'll teach you the business. And that's exactly what we did. So today, my wife is a partner in it. My mother-in-law is still a partner. My father-in-law has since passed, and my brother-in-law is a partner in the dealership. And I have a sister-in-law that works our reception counter. So yeah, it truly is a family dealership.
Truly is a family dealership, and I'm sure like everybody plays their part there. And so you're actually the president of Hitch House, but your wife does the marketing.
No, my wife is actually our service manager.
Oh, okay. Yes. Cool.
So we have a couple people that help me with marketing, and my brother-in-law manages the sales department.
So one of the things that I found interesting about Hitch House is you don't sell anything but motorhomes. And that's unusual because most dealerships do a little of everything. And the majority of RVers are towers. They are travel trailers. So obviously, this particular form of this lifestyle is very appealing to you. So what do you think makes the motorhome experience appealing to the consumers that come in there as opposed to buying a travel trailer? I mean, people who are coming to you, they know they want a motorhome.
Yeah, in lots of cases, it follows the person's path of the RV lifestyle. So they may have been quite a bit younger early in life, and they started with a tent trailer, and then they moved up to a travel trailer and a larger travel trailer, or even a fifth wheel. And to them, that was a natural progression, is to go from this. And as they did better, they actually ended up with larger and larger vehicles and different vehicles. So it for a lot of people, it's just a natural progression. I think for some, they like the idea that it's all in one unit. So what they're driving is what they're living in. They don't. They're not necessarily truck and trailer people. They just don't like the feeling of towing a big trailer. Right? So I think that's what the appeal is. Some it's a transition and it's part of the natural progression, and others is it's a taste bud issue and a comfort level.
Do you see a correlation between the units that they're buying, like the big Class A motorhomes, with age, and the Class B motorhomes a younger age, or is it across the board?
It's really across the board. I don't see that Class B is restricted to any particular age. And then there's more flavors now in Class B than there used to be in the past, right? With now the adventure vans that are available, right? So we've seen more and more younger people get into it, but at the same time, we've seen lots of people in my age category and older buying the adventure vans as well, because they like to be off that beaten path where not necessarily a Class A can get to, right? Because it's not as nearly as nimble, right?
Right. It depends on where you want to be. It was very interesting to me to be out in Arizona a couple winters ago, where everybody heads down to Quartzsite, and there is flat land there, but getting to that flat land, and you would see big areas where all the Tiffins were, or all the, a particular manufacturer where the community is all gathering there. But I thought to myself, ooh, you got to really ease in and out of there pretty easily. Now, I look at the purchase. I mean, this is a big purchase. This is a big commitment for people. Like, for some people, they're giving up the stick and brick, and that's their home. They're going to go full time in it. For other people, they might just be snowbirds, or they might want to get out of cold Canada for the winter and just go south 6 months a year and live, like you said, in a real home. I mean, you got washers and dryers. You've got motorhomes with 2 bathrooms. It blows my mind. Granite countertop, nicer kitchens than I have in my house. So when you're starting this process, what is a first-time buyer going to be looking for? What kind of research do they have to do?
Well, I think some of the research has to start with them navel gazing on themselves, like what they want to do with that motorhome. Are they planning on covering lots of ground, right? And not staying in any one place for any length of time? Or are they somebody that's going to go and stay for a few months or weeks at a time in one area and move on? Or are they planning, are they younger family and they have kids with them, or are they grandparents and they want to make sure that they're taking their grandkids with them? So I think they first have to figure out how are they going to be using it, right? To help them quantify their
we say that here at Girl Camper. First, figure out what kind of camper you are.
Exactly, right? And then it comes to, okay, if my budget's unlimited, what am I looking at, right? But no, it's very rare that somebody has an unlimited budget, or they put their own limits on it and say, no, like I'm only confident in going this far with this, right? And what are my options there in that space, right? And then, okay, my options are in the space. What is it that appeals to me here? Am I leaning towards more of, I want all the bells and whistles, right? Or I'm really focused on the quality, because lots of times all the bells and whistles doesn't necessarily come with all the quality, depending on the budget, right?
Well, it's interesting you said that, because that is the next thing I'm thinking of here, So you figured out what kind of camper you're going to be. You figured out what you want to go. Like, let's say I'm going to do that epic cross-country trip, and then I'm going to park the thing for a while, and then we're going to do this section of the country. So you figure out what your travel goals are. And then I think the next step is finding a reliable dealership, like looking into that dealership and knowing, okay, this is a dealership that's got a great reputation. They're trusted. Once you walk in the door in that dealership, though, that's where all the choices are. So I think the next thing you got to figure out is who's the manufacturer I want to go with. And I'm wondering how you as a company choose your manufacturers, because your reputation rests on how well they do.
Right. So one of the things that we, as a dealership, we look at is we want to make sure we cover all the product classes in the space that we want to be in, right? And then we want to be able to make sure that we appeal to a variety of price points as well. Right? So, and what I was saying, going back to what I was saying before, there's all the bells and whistles at one price point, and there's not necessarily, do you get that if you're focused on the quality. So that usually doesn't come from one manufacturer, all of those things, right? So for us, we carry Newmar, we carry Pleasureway, we carry Thor, we have a little bit of Winnebago, and we have Coachman, right? So the reason that we have that gamut is one that we know, for instance, that when it comes to the quality assessments that are out there, Newmar and Pleasureway are at the top of the list, right?
Yes, I always love going through the Pleasureways at the Florida show.
Yeah, they're really. My father-in-law used to say they're built like jewelry. It's like jewelry, right?
Yeah,
really,
it is.
The quality is really
we say
strong.
it's a genie's bottle. You're inside genie's bottle. It's like a girl camper dream inside one of those.
Yeah. So it's but with that also comes a price point, right? So in order to hit a different price point, then we had to have other options available to us, right? With Thor Motor Coach, they have a wide breadth of product, right? So it covers a lot of niches and things of that nature. So not only vans, but what I would call like a hybrid model in their Compass, right? Or in their Vegas, right? And then smaller class A's gas, and then up to what I would consider no higher than an entry-level diesel is what they would carry, right? Then for us, Newmar would take over, because they build that higher end class A gas and diesel that fills in the rest of that product breadth, right? And then there's some units that all those manufacturers just don't make. So we go out and look for others that can help fill in the holes that we have, and that's where we have Coachman and Winnebago this time.
And I think that's so important when you walk into any dealership, to just have that range of options with you. So the thing about a motorhome that I think might be a little intimidating to people is that you're really making a double purchase. I look at it like, okay, I've got a tow vehicle and the travel trailer merged into one, and it is an expensive purchase. In your opinion, does a motorhome retain its value more than a travel trailer would?
I think the answer to that is that the travel trailer isn't going to be near the price point of most of the starting motorhomes out there, right? So they might not use the same dollar value, but may be very similar in terms of percentage of value, right? So you certainly have a larger vehicle, like a larger price point with a motorhome, right? So that percentage means that same percentage on a travel trailer just means more dollars on a motorhome, right? Just the pure arithmetic of it alone, right? Then the other thing is all the pieces that go into that quality of that unit. So if I think of a travel trailer, right, and I think of Airstream, right, they're a travel trailer, but they maintain their value very well because they're a very niche product with a very high quality and a strong reputation, right? So they hold their value better than most travel trailers. And I think we see that same thing on the motorhome side, that some manufacturers and some products will hold their value better because of the quality of them. And then it comes down to the responsibility of that owner, right? Are they maintaining the coach? Are they getting it serviced regularly? How have they stored that? And all those things that maintain value would on a car as well, right? So it's important.
Well, let's talk about service for a minute. I think one of the ways that is really smart to maintain your coach, whether it's a motorhome or a travel trailer, is to really have it serviced where you bought it and to keep really accurate records. Do you guys provide service bays at your own dealership there?
Yes, yeah. So we have about 15 service bays in total, right? And we also have, aside from the motorhome service, right, we have mechanical service, but we also have a full RV body shop as well, because what's happened, like, accidents happen, right? So
if your awning falls off, whoops,
Right. So because of my father-in-law's history in the military, and he loved anything that had an engine in it. Right? He was always very big on maintaining equipment, proper oil changes, proper lubrication. He was a champ for that because of his background in the military. And one of his things he said, if we don't build what he referred to as the back end, and he meant service, we'll never take care of the front end, which he means sales. So the two have to coexist for a dealership to be successful.
I think this is so important. And I kind of want to transition over to talk about solo women traveling, which is what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give a couple talks up at your dealership. And I want to share with people some of the things that we've experienced here at Girl Camper. One of them is if you don't know anything about RVing at all, but you've seen the women out there, you're watching online, and you go, oh my gosh, it looks like so much fun. You sign up, you rent a cabin, you walk around, you look at everybody's unit, and you're like, this Class B is the way to me. The number one reason girl campers hesitate to join is towing. Fear of towing. It's the number one thing. And that's a simple fix. Get a Class B or get a B plus or a small C or whatever. Start kind of on the low end. And like you say, you may tier up over time, but having a dealership that is going to give you a punch list, like this is what you need to do. And you don't have to, figure out everything the same day. You got a dealership that's going to send you a note saying, at 20,000 miles, you want to come in. We want to check those tires. We want to get that oil changed. So I think that's the number one thing for girl campers, to really buy from a reputable dealership. The other thing that I think we see at Girl Camper all the time, and why the motorhome is a choice, is it's a question of safety. So in that RV, when you're camped, like you're at a Walmart, I remember doing this one night, and I'm not a Walmart parking lot camper. I never have been, but every once in a blue moon, when I'm camping with a group of people, we're all going someplace. There's 6 or 7 of us in a caravan, and we're like, you know what? We're going to stop here and get some shut-eye tonight. Sometimes the campground is 20 miles off the exit. Okay, if we're all together, I do not sleep well because I'm out of my truck and I'm in my camper.
Right.
But the women who are in their Class Bs or Class Cs, they're sleeping like logs, and that you could just get in there. So that is another thing. So are there any other features about the motorhome that make it a safety thing for solo travelers?
Do you mean, are you talking about things like somebody can to protect you against being an intruder of that
Well,
nature?
I mean, to me, I think of the safety too as more than just your physical safety here.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're someone who's afraid of towing, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to emotionally feel much safer. Just like I drive a F-150 every day. I have for 15 years, right? I get in any kind of van. My son has a couple kids, and when I'm driving their minivan, that just feels it's big, but not big to me because I'm used to that. So if you're a person who can like jump in a Class B and look at it no different than a everyday ride, you're going to feel a sense of emotional safety there, and that fear of towing is going to leave you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the other thing that I see about if you think about safety and the motorhome, that some people have considered is that when you come to a Class B or a Class C, right,
Mm-hmm.
they consider the fact that there's a driver and passenger door on your Class C and B a safety feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they need to exit the vehicle, it's easier for them to exit the vehicle in a case of emergency, right? Where they don't you don't necessarily in a Class A have that driver and passenger door. You have a coach door, and then you have a window that's an exit window for emergency.
Egress window, right? Yeah.
Yes. So the I hear that from time to time that people when they're buying the Class C, they like the comfort and feel of that cab because it's one, it's familiar to them. It's much like a car or truck, right? Mm-hmm. And they have driver and passenger door, and they consider that a safety feature.
I never thought it. Well, I think about it myself. Like in my travel trailer, there's only one way in it and one way out of it. I'd have to bust. I have a restored vintage one, and then I have a big fifth wheel as well. Mm-hmm. And there's just one door in and one door out, and there's an emergency window that I have had to climb in it when I locked myself out. But anyway, another thing that I think that many girl campers talk to us about is having that Class B. I don't know why I keep saying Class B, because we do have a lot of girl campers that have a C, and we have several that have the big A's as well. But I think that really helps you stretch your travel budget. You're not going to be able to pull in with a tow vehicle and a travel trailer behind you at a lot of places you can go to with just a motorhome. So you can park at Walmart, of course, but BLM lands and boondocking and places that you self-contained, you can do that much more often in a motorhome. And that gives you some travel freedom that really allows you to just say, you know what? And I have friends who kind of have a rule. One group of women we know, they all take off from Texas the day after Christmas and they start heading out to Quartzsite. And there's 6 or 7 of them, and they all have their own vans. And they'll go 7 or 8 days in a row at some boondocking site. And like on day 8, they're going to pull into a campground. They're going to get a shower. They're going to fill up. They're going to do all their things. So they've saved so many days on camping, being able to parking lot camp, stealth camp, be under the radar somewhere. So it's a big way to stretch your travel budget.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, you mentioned boondockers, and there's the boondocker group as well, club.
Yeah.
And then there's also Harvest Host that I'm sure you're aware of.
Yes.
And that gives a lot of flexibility for people to try things out, because it's not the same kind of prices. You're usually paying a price. You might buy something from the facility that's offering the host, being the host site. But it's a more cost-effective way to travel. Yes.
And we know so many people who take advantage of those things, especially if you're on the road for a long time. Which brings me to another thing that we hear people say all the time. And I think this is a huge plus. And that is, there is a level of comfort and convenience in a motorhome that you can pull up to your grandkids or whatever, or you're visiting friends along the way. You're on a road trip and you're going to visit your college roommate. you're in your own home in their driveway. You're not feeling like you're inconveniencing people and making them get their guest room torn apart. And guess what? That's good for you too, because your bed and your comfort and your food is in your refrigerator, and you can go wherever you want into there, take a rest, and just really still be in your own place. It's a win-win for both the people you're visiting and for you.
Yes. Yeah. I 100% agree with that. We had a customer recently who had said that one of the reasons and he was a single man, that he was buying is he has friends all over North America, and he just wants to travel and spend time and see the country and see them. And he goes, I don't want to put them out of their way. I want to just, visit and then go to my own place at night. So it makes perfect sense. Right.
The other thing we hear so much from girl campers is that it's just a pet lover's dream, having a motorhome. When you are pulling a travel trailer and you have a pet, and I'd love to get the real stat on this someday. I think the RV industry says 68% statistically travel with a pet, but I think girl campers, it's 90%. Most of the women I know travel with a pet. So if you have a travel trailer, you're not going to let your pet in the travel trailer. You're going to have your pet in the tow vehicle, and then you're going to have that pet caged in the tow vehicle. So in a motorhome, they might have an end table that is the pet's cage, the cage. It's built into the motorhome. It might be one under the bed. I've seen people retrofit a dog bed or a dog cage under the bed. Your dog is going to have its own little spot. And then when you're gone, you're in your motorhome. You're taking your pet with you all the time, and you're not worrying about it being back at the camper. So I think the motorhome has a lot of advantages when it comes to pet ownership.
100% agree. We actually sell accessories in our store for pets because of that. And I would say you're probably right. I would say it's got to be north of 3/4 of our clients have pets that they travel with. And I can think of one particularly customer that he had a place down in Florida, and he didn't like caging his pet to fly with him. So he literally bought a motorhome for the pet.
I've heard that so many times, Tom. There are people who just want to go there. We had a dog that we used to take to my mom's, and I'll tell you, that thing suffered so much. It had to be so heavily medicated. And then now you can take him on the airplane with you, like in your seat. In the old days, your poor little dog went underneath in a heated room. We got it out, and it was always shaking like a leaf. And we just said, you know what, it's better for us to just board this poor pet. So I think RVing itself, not just motorhome, is a great option for pet lovers. One of the things that we see all the time at Girl Camper too is this community. And I think it's very interesting, like the Pleasure Way group or the Tiffin people, or, whatever brand you buy. So not only do you get the greater community of the whole RV lifestyle people, but you also, you get the community of whatever brand it is that you bought.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Newmar has their country club, and, and they have all these clubs have regional clubs as well. Right. And they have rallies and trips and things of that nature. And you really get a nice group of people that you end up having lots in common with and doing things with. Right? And I see those, some people move on, and they even when they venture into something else that maybe RVing it's just part of their plan. And when they've moved on to the next step, they still maintain those friendships. Right. Which has been, I think those clubs are fantastic for that. But, so many people come in here and they talk about, their friends that live in California, their friends that live in North Carolina, or their friends that live in BC, and they've met them on the road through these clubs. Right. Which is very interesting.
And it's so exciting when you see those people who form these friendships, then next winter say, hey, we're going to be here. And the people are meeting up, and they end up becoming friends, we were talking about this the other day because Girl Camper went into membership, and it's the first time we actually formed, a membership. You have to belong to Girl Camper and go out on a trip. And everybody was writing me notes saying, I'll give you $35 10 times over, because I have met the best people in my life through this community. And they are people who are friends of mine now. And even when we're not camping, will pick me up and take me to a doctor's appointment if I need drops in my eyes or I'm not going to be able to drive home. So that community that we build becomes so important.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing I've seen is that they have their own little group chats, right? These, so they're when they're not traveling, they're still in contact with one another and building those and maintaining those friendships, which is
right.
Pretty interesting thing about the RV industry. So,
well, one of the things that's got me with Class B, I know I'm talking too much about Class Bs because it's on my own mind right now. So my tow vehicle has 180,000 miles on it. I have a Ford F-150. It's running like a top. I think I'm going to get 50,000 more miles out of it, But I think my ability or willingness to hitch that thing up, get it where I'm going, put on the weight distribution hitches, drop down the stabilizing jacks, run all the things, checking my just like what's involved in setting up a travel trailer is going to get old on me before that camper gives up, before that tow vehicle gives out. Now, I just came from the Hershey show, and I just kept looking at those things and thinking, a small B that was only 18 feet long, I think that's the same size as the truck I have, and since I live in an HOA, I could park that here and no one's going to be upset about it. So I could have that. But when I think about what kind of stage of life I'm in right now, like just this past Sunday, my son called and said, Mom, we're going to run down to the beach, like 3:30 in the afternoon. We're going to let their kids run on the beach, and they're only 40 minutes away from water here in New Jersey. Let the kids dip their toes, run in some sand. Do you want to come with us? I couldn't go because I was actually in Ohio, but I thought, how fun would it be to have the Class B as your daily ride? It's the same size as the truck I have had for 10, 11 years now, and I had one for 7 years before that. It's the same size. And some of these Class Bs are getting better gas mileage than I get about 15 miles a gallon when I'm not towing on my F-150. They're much better now. I got the EcoBoost when they first came out. So I think I could get a ride like that. And then when the girlfriends are all going to an antiquing day, or we're driving 2 hours north because we're going to hike a certain trail, have lunch, come home, I'm just thinking, that's not a bad option for my daily ride that turns into the camper when I want it. Do you see people doing that? Or am I just cuckoo?
No, absolutely. We see the people that they want to use that, it's maybe their secondary vehicle, right, that they're using that for. And it's their camper, but it also is, it doubles as their daily ride. But they choose the smaller of the Class Bs that are available, right, for that purpose.
Yeah. And, I've got it in my head now, and I've got to stop thinking about it because I'm really spending too much time in my head over this idea. But I do know the day is going to come where I'm going to enjoy just getting in there and the towing part of this whole thing. I've probably towed 100,000 miles in my life. I added it up before COVID, and I was at about 75,000 miles 5 or 6 years ago. I'm sure it's over 100. And it's really appealing to me right now, the idea of a van. And a couple of girlfriends of mine have one, and just having our little caravan of vans and being able to park it at a harvest host all together and, or RV overnights and just say, this is a great, we have a bunch in Colorado that go to a harvest host on weekends, and they've got a winery there, and they've got live music, and they've got food trucks, and they park there overnight. and they have a couple cocktails and they just have to walk to their camper. Someone's brought in food. It's a win-win. And then they go home the next day. And I just think I got to get myself in a setup like that. That just sounds like a blast to me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Tom, I'm so glad that you were able to come on today. I think there's just so many reasons that people should look at a motorhome. I hope we brought some ideas to people. I mean, 10 years ago, I never would have thought motorhome for myself at all. But that's the interesting thing about your evolution as a camper. You know, you want to stay in that and maybe not do all the heavy lifting. So there's options for you.
Right, exactly.
So tell us all how we are going to find you at the RV show. I'm flying up there on the 24th, and I'm going to be at your dealership on the 25th and 26th. If you are a girl camper and you're hearing this and you come out, happy to walk through the show with you, happy to hold your hand, happy to just be a sounding board for you, because I love nothing better than playing matchmaker.
Excellent.
Yeah. So where are you located? Is there a ticket price? How do people find you? Do they have to reserve?
So no ticket price. They don't have to make a reservation. We're located on Highway 11, just north of Barrie, Ontario. So we're very central, right? It's the show opens on Friday, October 24th and goes to Sunday, November 2nd. And we have, in addition to yourself being there, we have our manufacturers reps that will be attending both weekends, right? On the second weekend, we will actually be having a presentation from the Ontario Provincial Police and how to, protect yourself against, people protect ourselves against scams and frauds. And then in the middle of the week, I believe on the 29th of October, we have the Vice President of Sales from Newmar Corporation that will be on site to meet with our Newmar customers and our prospective Newmar customers.
And that's always great when you have the manufacturer there, because they're going to really be able to answer those questions for you. I love it when a show has the top brass out there.
Yes, yeah.
So
we're excited for it. For yourself, you'll be interested because Grant from Pleasureway will be on site the same weekend that you will be. So you're a Class B gal, you'll get to meet with see Grant and go through the Pleasureway product.
And my girlfriend has one, and I die every time I'm in it. It's just like, whoa, it's a genie's bottle. I just think they're beautiful, beautiful, and so well designed.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
They have such a feeling of space in them. You don't feel claustrophobic in them. I just think they're just gorgeous. So
they're quite an interesting company. We went out for some training because they're built out in Saskatoon and Saskatchewan. They actually started their life like the Pleasureway did. They had a dealership, and they were having trouble getting Class B vans. And the father was, just a very resourceful individual, and he said, "I think I can make these." And that's how it started. Wow! And now that's what they do exclusively. Is they're a Class B manufacturer, right? And his son Dean is the president and has been running that company since he was a young man. So they always have a nice display at the Florida show, and I just go straight over to it. I just think they're so beautiful. So I look forward to seeing that. If any girl campers want to come out and join us, I take a weekend in Ontario, get your passport out and come up. I was really surprised how close you are to me. It's only like an hour and 25-minute flight. Yeah. I could have driven, and maybe next year I will, and then get to see some of it while I'm up there. But before we jump off here, Tom, I want to give everybody a quick tip that I want to share with them from one of our sponsors. And this is a product that I'm telling you from the heart. So I was down at my seasonal camper last year, and it's going to break my heart to close it down in another month. But it's that time of year. We want to keep those rodents out of your camper. They carry 35 known diseases, and a single mouse can get pregnant every 3 weeks. I think they're Catholic mice. I can say that because I was one of 9. So if you're storing your camper this fall, don't
give those mice a chance to settle in. For several years now, I have used this Fresh Cab. It's made by EarthKind. I'm one of these people, super chemical sensitive. I don't want chemicals in my camper where my grandkids are. So if you have a motorhome, you could put one under your engine compartment, under your kitchen sink, one in your pantry, in your bathroom sink. Absolutely no mice get in. There's something about that smell. They just hate it, hate it, hate it. And it's all herbal and natural repellent. So you can skip that cleanup and not worry about chewed up wires and all that stuff. So grab yourself a bag of Fresh Cab at earthkind.com. Before you park your rig for the winter, you'll be so happy that you did. So, Tom, thank you so much for coming on. To everybody else, don't forget to like and share and follow. If you're in the mood or in the idea that you might be doing a motorhome someday, share this out with someone. Follow us on Instagram and on Facebook and YouTube here, and let everybody know that there's no wrong way to camp like a girl. Tom, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.